Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. Right back to it with the showers, right? Water running, steam rising, and echoes bouncing off the tile like whispers and all this and that. Tank. He entered the shower area with a towel draped over his shoulder and a plastic bag in his hand. Inside the bag was one of them toothbrush shit. He done sharpened down with a knife, to make a knife wrapped in a sock. He didn't want to use it. He didn't want to kill for Valentine, but he wanted to live. Now, Chris Jr. was already in the far corner, back turned, hands running through his braids under the hot water, trying to get his hair clean. Now, Tyke, he wasn't far off in the distance, just outside the town wall, watching, eyes on him. Tank, he creeping, stalking his prey, moving slowly, one foot, then another, being very, very careful. Breath real shaky. He trying to make sure he do the right thing. He reached into the bag, pulled the sock wrapped around the handle. In his footsteps in the water, you can hear it in the water. The sound of distant conversation makes the silence, this weird. It's like people talking is covering up that he creeping. Tank reached down, he raised up the knife. Then, bam! Tyke grabbed his wrist in mid-motion. Chris Jr. turned around calm, eyes like stone. "What you doing, Tank?" Tyke growled. Tank dropped the weapon. It fell on the floor. I had no choice, man. They got me boxed in. Chris Jr. stepped forward, closing that space in between them, hands still dripping from the water. "You should have come to me. They would have killed me. And what you think I was going to do now?" Long pause, long silence. The only sound of the water splashing and hitting the drain. Tank dropped to his knees. "Please, man. I ain't never wanted this." Chris Jr. looked at Tyke, then nodded. Crack! One punch. Jaw shatters. Tank hit the tile. "Put him in seg," Jr. said, "but let him live. I want Valentine to know I don't move like him." Now, back out into the backwoods, Ghost, he lights a lantern. Scattered across the wooden table, they got mug shots, maps, and that cassette player and all this and that, and he rewinds the tape. Cindy's voice returns. Michael didn't trust Valentine. Said he had preacher's hands and killer's eyes. He was right. Ghost paused the tape, cracked his knuckles, then dialed a number from the burner. A woman answers. Voice all cracky and old. "You shouldn't be calling me. The Lord's put 8 boots on Keisha's spine," Ghost said, "and they're getting bolder. You need a medic or a massage. You need a medic or a message," that's what he said. He said, "I need both. Then meet me in Norris at dawn. Bring the tapes." Ghost hung up, then pulled a photo out of his coat. A picture of Valentine and a man in a corrections uniform. Warden Mallory. Don't y'all forget that now. Ghost thinking, "I knew your hands were dirty, you bastard." Keisha, she back at the hospital right, y'all. We flashing her back, going back. Keisha at the hospital. She peeking through her blinds and sees a nurse slip a note into her chart. She opens it, right? "They know you're talking. They'll try again. Be ready." Well, no signature on it, but the handwriting. The handwriting on it. Tasha. They shift the scene again. The Stone Ridge Library. Chris Sr. meets with Peanut and Stacks between the shelves. Valentine got eyes on Tank, but he expected us to kill him. "Why didn't we?" Stack answered. "Because letting him live sends a louder message. One they don't know how to read. They don't understand that. So what's the next move?" Chris Sr. held up an old photograph. "We will mine wilder what Lorda used to be before Valentine traded it for fear." Now listen to it. It's going further and further into the whole thing unraveling. All of it is coming out. See, Ghost walked into a trap set years ago. Valentine escalated his network inside the prison. Chris Jr. begins to sense betrayal, even closer than he feared. Now, The morning wind is blowing through the hills. This is an area called Norris, Tennessee. Birds all in the distance, a river flowing beneath the rusted trains, and everything it's like one of those picturesque places and all this and that right now. Ghost, he done parked the Mustang beneath the canopy where it's got a lot of hanging moss right in his boots. They sinking down in the dirt as he walked toward the picnic area near the water. Seated at the table was Lindsay. Mid-40s, combat boots, black hoodie, Glock tucked in her waistband. She used to patch bullet wounds for Big Mike's crew back in the day. But she wasn't soft. She hadn't seen Ghost in almost a decade. About what you asked, she said. Ghost looked at her, dropping a cassette tape on the table between them. It's her voice. Cindy's? Yeah. Lindsay picked it up like it was a loaded weapon. In a way it was. So what's the plan, old man? We turned the whispers into thunder. You still got people inside? A few. Most sold out or switched colors when Mike and Cindy died. Some stayed quiet, like I did. Ghost reached into his coat and laid down one single bullet. Valentine's got an empire built on silence. We make the silence bleed. Lindsay picked up the bullet. One shot. One message. Now Stone Reed and the admin block, Valentine sit across from Ward Mallory. A file folder sits between them labeled G-Bar Consolidation. You'll get your kickbacks, Valentine said, but I need Chris Sr. to move. He's consolidating power faster than I expected. You think he's behind the kitchen fire? I know it. You got proof? Valentine leaned forward, that thin old smile on his face. I don't need proof. I need permission. The warden flipped through the file, got that grin on his face. You'll get it. But I want Senior boxed in. No more whispers, no more movement. Valentine nodded. Then we got a deal. As the warden stood up to leave, Valentine pulled out an old ID badge, cracked and faded. The photo on it, Big Mike. The date, 1989. The blood, it was still visible. Chris Jr., he sits on his bunk, sharpening a comb into a blade. Tyke leans against the wall nearby. Tank's been quiet, Tyke said. Too quiet, Jr. replied. You think he talking? He too scared to lie, but too dumb to keep secrets. Tyke sat down across from him. What you want to do? Chris Jr., he didn't say nothing for a minute. He looked at the page, the torn page in his hand, one from the letter his mother sent him years ago before everything blew up. On it, in her handwriting, sometimes the ones who raise you ain't the ones who love you. We test him, Junior said. If he fold, we bury him in the paper first. Make the whole yard see it. You mean what? Expose him, then exile him. That's cold. So is betrayal. So back at Keisha's apartment, she opens up the floorboard under the bed, pulls out an old shoebox. Inside it was torn photos, burner phone, and folded notes. She hadn't wanted to get involved, but once Tasha called, there was no turning back. She looked at the picture of Chris Jr. as a baby, clinging to her side, and another of him, maybe 12, throwing up Lord signs with the boy who would later die in the shootout. That boy, that was Valentine's nephew, and she remembered. Valentine had made the call that night, told them where to be and where the cops wouldn't show up. Only the cops did show up, and the only one shot, and they only shot one boy, not Chris Jr. Valentine had been using him since he was a kid. She picked up the burner phone, scrolled to T, and hit call. Tasha, I got something, but it's gonna burn a few bridges. Good, Tasha said. We ain't building bridges no more, we're building fire. Now, we're gonna go back to Wilder Hills. Lindsay, she unscrews the base of the bullet Ghost gave her. Inside a tiny roll microfilm. She carefully laid it flat against the dashboard of a truck, and the images began to focus under the sun. Right, she trying to see. She seen Valentine shaking hands with a federal agent. Valentine driving a package to a warden, Valentine years ago, signing over witness protection documents with a forged name, Raymond Dean, aka Ghost's brother. She exhaled real slow. Damn, he ain't just a traitor, he's a spook. Now at Stone Ridge, you got the CO that slips a message into Chris Sr.'s lunch tray. He reads it. They're moving you tonight. New block, pack light. He crumples the note in one hand. They think I ain't ready? He turned to Stacks. You got the kit ready? Been ready. Then send it. Ghost moves next. Now here, listen to me. Things are getting a little bit more deep and starting to unfold and show itself. Now, Chris Sr., he gets transferred, but they put him into enemy territory. Ghost makes a calculated move in Nashville, and Keisha faces a warning that cuts too close, right? Now here's how it plays out. The door opens. This was this metal door, and in the distance you heard this low humming. You know, them lights always, them fluorescent lights, it's just that sound in the penitentiary that you always hear from them. And then a push cart rolls past with a rattle. Said, Chris Sr., stand up. They put the ankles on his chains on his ankle and give him an orange jumpsuit stain. You know what I'm saying? It was old, you know, because them jumpsuits that they put on us, right, they still dirty even though they wash them, right? He didn't flinch though as the two guards. They got one on one side and one on the other. One of them was holding the chain. The other reading the checklist. Calling off his name, inmate 72891, reassigned, approved by Ward Mallory. Chris didn't say nothing. He didn't need to, because this transfer, you know what I'm saying, it was an opportunity. Now, they walk him down, the gates slam behind him, the sign above read G Block, segregated housing unit. Now this area here, this was Valentine's playground. The hall, it was darker. It smelled like mold and bleach and all kinds of secrets. Cameras buzzed loud, the COs wore sneers all on their face trying to act like they were hard, and one of them was Morris, a known Lord affiliate. He unlocked the cell and motioned inside. Welcome home, OG. Senior stepped inside without a word. The door shut behind him. Man, see, check this out. Chris Sr., he gets transferred into this enemy territory. The Ghost, he's making a calculated move in Nashville. While Keisha, she's facing that warning again. The warning where things are going to change for him. Things are going to change. But here we go. Everything is working out. Everything's working out. And when he scanned the cell, he looked at it. It was smaller than the last. The mirror cracked, mattress torn, but there was chalk scribbled on the underside of the bunk. It was a symbol. Only the gangsters used this in the old days. It was a sign. Someone had been here before. Someone loyal. He tapped the wall twice in rhythm, testing the pipe system. The echo bounced, slow. Then he came back with a double tap. There it is. He wasn't alone in this block. And that meant the plan was still in motion. Now in Nashville, Ghost, he walking into this pawn shop that hadn't been updated in its inventory since the 90s. All this old stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. A bell rings above the door when he walks in. The man behind the glass counter wore this old beanie with a Bluetooth headset talking about football trades and all this and that. He didn't flinch when Ghost walked in. He just kept doing what he's doing. But when Ghost slid a photo across the glass, a grain of steel of Valentine and Ward Mallory, shaking hands, the man took the headset off. Said, where'd you get this? Don't matter. I need the security feed from 2 months ago outside the state parole office. That's government tape. You trying to get me buried? You will be if you don't pull it. The man stared at Ghost's face. Hard, unreadable, cracked with history. Give me 3 hours. Ghost nodded and walked out. Now back at the hospital, Keisha wheels herself slowly into the hallway for a physical therapy session. A nurse hands her a chart, but inside is a different note. It's scribbled in red pen, smudged and rushed real fast. They're watching. Cut her loose and she won't make it. There was no signature, no name, just fear on it. They was telling her to cut Keisha loose. Keisha swallowed hard then. Every part of her wanted to believe she could protect Tasha, that they survived the storm together. But the streets, it didn't run on hope. They ran on sacrifice. She wheeled herself back into her room, picked up the secure line that the detective had left, and called Chris Sr.'s unit. Of course, it was denied. She hung up and called the only other person who still pick up, and that was Lindsay. Yeah, we need a safe house. Now, we back at G Block. It's a common area where all the inmates, you know what I'm saying, they talking, they whispering about Chris Sr. because he in there, and then he walks in on the escort. He scans the yard. Lord's posted at every corner. Then he sees him. Ramsey. Valentine's newest blade, leaning against the bench like a bored old lion waiting to attack. No tattoos, no colors, just scars on his knuckles and death in his eyes. Senior sit across the yard, doesn't make a move, doesn't nod, just watching. Ramsey, he finally says something. I figured you look older, and I figured you'd be quieter. Ramsey smirked. You here to start a war? Nah, I'm here to end one. A silence stretched between them like a piano wire. You got a death wish, old man? Nah, I got a truth itch. Ramsey started laughing. They're gonna get you killed in here. Chris leaned forward, low voice. That's the idea. Now back at Stone Ridge at the mailroom, CO opens a tray. Inside is a kite smuggled in from G Block. On it, a list of names and phrases. Burn marks don't fade. They expose the frame. The CO hesitates, then hands it off to another officer who delivers it to Chris Jr. Chris Jr. opens the kite and reads it in silence. Tight watches from the bunk. It's him, Jr. said. He's moving pieces. Inside G Block? He tripping. He's not tripping, he's ready. He looks up, eyes sharp. Tell the others, war ain't coming. War's already here. Now Keisha, she passed being closed in. Chris Jr., he initiates a subtle move inside the yard, and Valentine tests loyalty through fear. City bus screeching to a stop on a grimy Memphis street corner. Rain falling steady, beating against the window. Keisha stepped off, her duffel bag clutched tight under her arm. The buildings looked like they did always, brick and broken dreams. But the energy was different, heavier, like somebody was waiting for her that she couldn't see. She adjusted her hood and moved quickly through the puddles, turning down an alley that led behind the laundromat. There was a time when she felt safe before the Lord's, before Chris Jr. followed in the wrong footsteps, before her man, her protector, vanished without explanation. Then a garbage can, it fell and clanked behind her. She froze, turned around slowly. Nothing, only shadows. But she knew better than to believe in shadows. Shadows don't move unless something alive was casting them. She ducked into the back entrance of the building and climbed the stairs to the second floor, each one creaking like an alarm. When she reached apartment 2B, she knocked 3 times, paused, and then knocked a 3rd time. The door opened just a little bit. It was Tasha, swollen eye, peeked out. It's me. The chain dropped. Keisha stepped inside. You sure you wasn't followed? Well, Tasha, Keisha stepped inside. Ain't nobody been following me since I learned how to disappear, Keisha muttered. But Tasha still locked the door behind her with bolts. She was spooked. If you want to know how this plays out, you got to tune into the next episode. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.